Well, hello everyone. Welcome. I am Christy from Adventures in ISTEM. I have been teaching middle school for over 20 years now, and I've been incorporating the flipped classroom model for almost 10 years. One of the benefits of the flipped classroom model is the ability to differentiate and meet the needs of your students. So today I'm going to talk about how to use data to differentiate and meet those students' needs. So let's get into it. So what data should you use? Well, you can use different data like the analytics from Edpuzzle. If you're hosting your video on Edpuzzle, then that is the perfect place to go and look at the information. You can see then how many times the students had to watch the video segments, and you can see their answers to the questions that you posted there for them. So you can kind of get a good idea of if they understood that information. Another thing that you can do is look at your quick assessment. I always give a short assessment at the end that they have to answer. So it's usually like a 10-question quiz. I use Schoology to host my assessments, but you could easily do this on Kahoots, Quizzes, Google Forms. You just give them a few multiple choice questions, between 5 and 10 questions, and that's enough to see if they actually understood that information. So that's another place that you can go to. Or you can have them turn in a ticket in the door where they have to come in with maybe a worksheet, a graphic organizer, or maybe you gave them 3 questions that they have to answer before they come in. And as they come in, you quickly just look at that information. Like if you're doing a math flipped lesson, then you could give them 3 problems that they have to solve. You can then quickly go through and sort it very fast. Who's got the answers, who doesn't, and put them into groups that way. So that's the data that I would be looking at when I'm talking about what to do the next day in class of your flipped lesson. So what are some different ways that we can differentiate now? Now that we have this data, how can we use that to differentiate and actually meet the needs of our students? We can group them by ability. We can offer choice boards, or at the last level, we can have student directed choice and we can differentiate for them. So what does that look like? When we're grouping by ability, here's what I would do. I would use the data to put the students into different groups. So I would use I would have a group of students that are ready to apply. That means they probably scored an 80% or higher on that quiz. They've got the basics, they've showed their understanding. They're ready now to go a little deeper, to apply that knowledge, to start working with that topic. Then I would have another group for students that need more clarification. Maybe they didn't do as well. Maybe they're still confused. They don't understand the vocabulary. They're not understanding how to do the math problems. So I would have those groups. So I'd have my 2 different groups. With those 2 different groups, I could then target those basic students, right, that need extra help, and I could send the other ones off to work on an assignment together, maybe in a groups or in pairs, and really differentiate and hit those needs. So I'd have 2 different groups, one group that I could be working on and another group that could be working with pairs and groups where they're applying the information now. And that gives me the next one, choice boards. Choice boards. So let the students choose from a variety of activities based on their level of understanding. Here's what you can do. You could offer 2 or 3 choices for those that are ready to extend their learning. So the data shows they've got the information, they're ready to extend it, and now you can offer them 2 or 3 choices. So let them choose how they want to extend it. Now, these could be little projects that you have, investigations. They could be articles where they're going to be reading about it, going more into real life. So these are ways for them to actually make a choice. You could offer, like I might have 2 different labs for them to choose from, or an online lab, a hands-on lab, or a little project that they could be doing with a group. So I'm giving them different choices, letting them take ownership. Remember, when you give students choice, they feel more empowered, right? For those that need to still clarify, they're still kind of confused, I would still offer them choices. Maybe they would do better by doing a guided reading or reading from the textbook. Maybe they want to work in a small group with the teacher. Maybe they are ready to do like a worksheet or a graphic organizer or do some practice problems. Maybe it's an interactive notebook. Maybe they want to do a quizzes game. So giving them a variety of choices to choose from of how they feel would be best for them to actually understand it. You see, students, by the time they're in middle school, they know what works for them. And if we give them that opportunity to make a choice on choosing what's going to work for them, we're going to get a whole bunch better results, right? With choice boards, you can also have a leveled set of choice boards where there's different levels that they need to meet, and they cannot move on to the next level until they've shown they're ready for it with data, right? With their understanding. So perhaps at the beginning, when those students who didn't pass that quiz, they didn't score an 80%, maybe they're still in level 1. So they have to choose from other choices in level 1 to actually understand that information, right? Those who did understand it, they can move from level 1. Okay, you're in level 2 now. So what choices in level 2 are you going to use now to apply your information? And maybe here's where you're doing practice problems, you're doing investigations. And then from there, they can move on to level 3 when they've shown that they get a basic understanding with their investigations and their practice problems. So you can again tier it up where they can't move from one level to the next until data shows that they're ready. The last one. Now, this is like the high complication, like this is like the holy grail, right? Student ownership of their learning. This has to be taught. Students have to be taught how to use data themselves to make choices for themselves, right? Don't just expect students to know how to do this. Like, you're going to have to slowly bring them there. But this is student directed, where you're going to teach students how to use their data, their own feedback to lead their learning. You're going to teach them how to look at their own results and how to then make questions and choices based on what their results are showing them. So students, what you can do here, let me just move this out of the way. So students, again, they're going to determine how they want to extend their learning, what questions they want to go. This is when they come into class already with a question of where they want to go next, what the questions they now have. Now they have a basic understanding. What do they want to know now about the topic? Where do they want to go? And what do they want to do to move forward? And maybe, yes, you do have a whole bunch of different options to help guide them, but also have an option of student choice, like their own option, because perhaps they have a different idea and they're just going to blow you out of the water with what they can do, right? So allow them to come in and lead their learning, asking them, what do you want to know now? Now that you have this information, and you'll know whether or not they passed or not the quiz, right? Because you're going to have that information also. So you can actually have that student who comes in, they're like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go, but they scored a 40%. You can have that conversation with them, right? You're helping them guide their own learning, showing, okay, what's the data showing you? What does this mean? Where are you at in your understanding, right? Where can you go next? And that way also, for those students that are not quite ready, that need extra review, extra clarification, they can come in and be like, you know what, I just didn't get it. Wouldn't it be amazing if students actually came into class and they were like, I don't understand. I was confused on this part. I need this. This is what I need from you. I mean, hello, amazing, right? I mean, that's the goal. The goal is for students to take ownership of their learning, to actually understand themselves when they're struggling, not being told that they're struggling, but they actually understand they're struggling. And they also are ready to then work on whatever it is they need to work on to get there, to actually understand and comprehend, right? They get to choose what works for them. Maybe video is not the way. Maybe for them, they need to actually read it. They need to mark the text. Maybe for them, they need to do extra practice problems, or maybe they need to actually be with you reading it through. So as they read out loud with you there, it's working in their head. Like some students need that, but they're going to know what they're going to need, right? So again, ways to differentiate. You can do grouping them by ability. That's like the easiest way. So if get started with that one. You can offer them choice boards, different choices for different levels, different activities that they could be doing. Yes, that could mean that you have 3 different labs going on at the same time. Absolutely. Yes. And so when you're doing something like that, classroom expectations, having procedures is super, super, super important, right? And then, of course, the Holy Grail, the one we're all going towards, student directed, where they are taking ownership of their learning. So again, if you're just getting started with differentiating, start off with just making those 2 groups. That's going to be the easiest one. Your 2 groups, group 1 is going to be the ones who are ready to go. They've passed that quiz, whatever assessment you've had, that benchmark that you gave for that particular video, they've passed it. They are ready to now start applying, and you have 1 activity for them, right? Just 1 activity, maybe. If you want to go a little bit more, make 2 activities, but 1 thing that they're going to do. So that's your 1 group, right? And it's something that they can do with a partner or a group where they're working together, because you will be with the other group and you're going to be clarifying. You're going to be leading the other group. You're not teaching that exact same lesson. No, you are bringing in other materials, readings, textbook, showing them different practice problems. So you're bringing in other stuff for clarification and for helping them to understand, right? That's where you're starting. And then from there, when you get more comfortable, then move on to a choice board, making a little bit extra choices. And when the students get more comfortable too, when they start to realize what is working, what isn't, what they like, what they don't like, what helps them the most, what doesn't. And then you go to the last one, the Holy Grail, where they start to take ownership of their learning. So that's how you can differentiate in your flipped classroom. And you will have all these opportunities when you are no longer lecturing in the classroom, right? It opens up all these different opportunities for doing all these activities with your students. So if you want some more information, if you need extra help, I do have a flipped classroom guide that gives you step-by-step of how to flip your class, how to differentiate and extend that learning, and strategies and tips to help you along the way. Have an amazing week. Let me know if I can help you on your journey to the flipped classroom model. Bye.
Thank you for watching another Adventures in ISTEM and Beyond video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more Adventures in ISTEM and Beyond videos. For more ideas on how to incorporate science, technology, and skills for life into your classroom, go to adventuresinistem.com.